We start with Nao and Hisashi at the church, ready to complete their wedding ceremony. Nao is extremely happy, almost floating with joy. The priest asks them if they agree to stay together forever. Nao immediately says, "Of course." But Hisashi responds, "No, I don't agree. I can't live with you forever." He hands her back the wedding ring and walks away. Nao is shocked and runs after him, calling out, "Wait, please, wait! I swear on your father's life!" But Hisashi ignores her and keeps walking. The church doors close, and Nao pounds on them, calling his name. Suddenly, she wakes up. It was just a nightmare. She hears knocking on her door. It's Hisashi saying, "Come on, we're late for our graduation party." Nao quickly gets dressed and they head out to school together. As they walk, we learn that Nao and Hisashi have been together for a year and a half. They had to move out of their shared apartment and now live in separate rooms next to each other. Today is their last day of high school and they're going to their graduation ceremony. On the way, Hisashi asks, "Did you eat my yogurt?" Nao replies, "Yeah, there were 2 yogurts in the fridge. I thought one was yours and one was mine." Hisashi groans, "Again? No, both were mine. You have to buy me a new one, okay?" Nao rolls her eyes. "Fine, don't be so pushy." Amir then realizes they're running late. "We're late because of you, you idiot!" he yells before running ahead. Nao chases after him. When they arrive at school, girls flock around Hisashi, trying to take pictures with him. Nao feels frustrated and upset. She worries that now that Hisashi is going to a different university, other girls there will try to steal him, just like the ones at their school. Her friend Marina tries to comfort her, saying, "You're better off than me. Your university is right across from Hisashi's, but mine is far away. I won't see him at all during university." Feeling sad, Nao tells Marina, "I hate that you won't be with me at university." Just then, their friend Abi appears and reassures Nao, "Don't worry, I'll be with you at university. We'll always be together." Nao thanks him, saying she'll feel more at ease with him around. But she's still anxious about Hisashi being alone in a different university, where other girls might go after him. Abi reassures her, "Don't worry, Hisashi loves you, a lot." Nao smiles, "You're right," and finally feels relieved. They celebrate their graduation together. Days pass, and university starts. One day, Marina overhears girls at Hisashi's university talking about him, how handsome and charming he is, how there's no one else like him, and how they all want to get close to him. She gets worried but decides not to tell Nao, so she doesn't stress her out. But then, to her surprise, Nao shows up at Hisashi's university and says, "Unfortunately, I already found out. I came here today to check on things, but I wish I hadn't." Then a girl named Ota, whom Nao recently befriended at university, arrives. Nao introduces Ota to Marina, mentioning that they are in the same department. Ota sees a picture of Hisashi and is instantly impressed. She learns that Hisashi is Nao's boyfriend. Abi also arrives, and they ask him why he followed them to Hisashi's university. He responds, "I didn't follow you. I just came here because the girls here are way prettier than the ones at our university. I want to finally get into a relationship instead of getting rejected all the time." Noor looks around and realizes that the girls are indeed beautiful, which makes her even more anxious about Hisashi. She keeps glancing at them. Amir arrives, and as soon as the girls see him, they rush toward him, drawn to his charisma. Ota notices him too and immediately finds him attractive. She turns to Nao, but Nao has suddenly disappeared. No one knows where she went. Meanwhile, Nao disguises herself in a ridiculous outfit and secretly follows Hisashi, wanting to see if he will get snatched up by the girls or not. When Hisashi refuses to talk to any of the girls throwing themselves at him, Nao becomes overjoyed and continues watching him. As she is spying, she accidentally bumps into a young man. The guy smirks and says, "Oh, so you want to date me? You're the 5th girl today who accidentally bumped into me just to start a conversation." Noor glares at him. "Are you stupid or what? You got it all wrong. I didn't bump into you on purpose, and why would I even want to, huh?" The guy laughs, not believing her. "Oh, come on, don't lie. Anyway, I'm hosting a dating party tomorrow. You should come. You might actually find someone willing to date you there." Noor rolls her eyes. "I told you I'm already in a relationship, you idiot." She walks away awkwardly, determined to keep spying on Hisashi and making sure no one snatches him. The guy pauses for a moment, then realizes that Nao is watching Hisashi. Meanwhile, Hisashi gets overwhelmed as the situation with the girls escalates. He runs away. Later, Nao sits with Ota, feeling triumphant. "I watched Hisashi for 2 hours. In those 2 hours, 123 girls tried to get his number and talk to him, but he rejected them all. I'm so happy. Ota stares at her, unsure what to say. Then a few girls approach and start talking about Hisashi right in front of Nao, praising how smart and handsome he is. Nao gets annoyed, and Ota feels bad for her. To defend Nao, Ota tells them, Amir is Nao's boyfriend. The girls fall silent for a moment, then burst out laughing, not believing it. They mock Nao, doubting that someone like Hisashi would be with her. Meanwhile, Hisashi finally finds a spot on the stairs to sit down and eat after escaping the girls chasing him. But just as he is about to eat, some girls appear and start talking to him, startling him so much that he drops his food. Frustrated, he yells at them, scaring them away. Before Hisashi gets even angrier, the guy Nao bumped into earlier shows up. He pretends to be Hisashi's friend and says, Amir's just upset because I was late. Forgive him for yelling at you. The girls immediately accept, but the guy tells him coldly, Don't worry. He explains that the girl hasn't slept for 3 days, and that she just fell asleep now, nothing more. He lifts her up and places her on the bed, leaving her to rest. Then he talks to Hisashi, telling him that the lab stays quiet because of this girl. Everyone is too scared to enter because of her. But he assures Hisashi that she's actually very kind. Amir stays silent for a moment before taking out a yogurt cup and handing it to him, thanking him for saving him from the girls and introducing him to the lab. They get to know each other, and the guy introduces himself as Natsumi. Later that night, at Hisashi's apartment, Nao prepares his favorite meal and waits for him to return, hoping to spend a romantic evening together. However, she gets upset when Hisashi arrives and tells her he brought a friend. She is shocked to see that the friend is Natsumi. She mutters to herself, How did Hisashi even meet this idiot? They all sit down to eat, but Natsumi keeps staring at Nao. Hisashi notices and asks how he knows her. Before Natsumi can mention that she bumped into him while spying on Hisashi, Nao quickly changes the subject. She moves closer to Natsumi and whispers, Keep your mouth shut, you idiot. Don't tell Hisashi I was watching him. Natsumi stays quiet, but soon starts teasing her again. He tells Hisashi, I didn't expect your girlfriend to be someone as ordinary as Nao. Then he turns to Nao and says, I'm hosting a dating party tomorrow. Why don't you come? Maybe Hisashi will find someone better than you there. Nao snaps back, Amir loves me. He would never attend a party like that. She continues, I even know his brother and his wife. We have so many memories together. But before she can go on, Hisashi cuts her off, saying, Go to your room. Nao is stunned and leaves, feeling hurt. She assumes Natsumi has won, making Hisashi upset with her. Determined not to give up, she heads to the supermarket and buys a lot of Hisashi's favorite yogurt, thinking it will cheer him up and they can spend the night together. However, as she walks back, she starts worrying that Natsumi might take Hisashi away and exclude her. She gets anxious and drops the yogurt. Coincidentally, Natsumi sees her and helps her pick it up. He smirks and says, Still scared Hisashi will slip away from you? You keep trying so hard, but it's useless. It's obvious he has you wrapped around his finger. Nao protests, No, he loves me and cares about me a lot. Natsumi chuckles and says, I don't believe you. Then they ask who the most handsome guy in the place is. All the girls point at Hisashi. Nao, still unfocused, doesn't point at anyone, and the others notice. They ask her who she thinks is the most handsome guy there. Nao, without looking, randomly points at an average-looking guy. The students are surprised and assume she has a crush on him. Amir gets even more annoyed but tries to stay cool and not show it. They start another game involving artificial respiration. Nao is shocked when it's her turn with a student she doesn't even know. She panics, unsure of what to do. Just before the student performs CPR on her, Hisashi can't take it anymore. He stands up, yells at everyone, and declares that Nao is his girlfriend. Everyone is stunned. They don't believe him. Hisashi walks up to Nao and says angrily, What were you about to do, you idiot? Nao falls silent, not knowing how to apologize. Someone in the crowd tries to lighten the mood, saying that Hisashi is just lying to avoid the situation. The girls, relieved, believe it and continue the party. Amir, still upset, leaves, and Nao chases after him, trying to make amends. She asks if he's still mad. He replies, Of course, you idiot. Why would you even go to a party like that when you're my girlfriend? And how could you sit there playing games and laughing with a random guy? Noor, instead of feeling guilty, gets excited. She realizes Hisashi is mad because he's jealous, confirming that he really loves her. He drops her off at her place, but before he enters his apartment, Now tells him she doesn't want to spend the night alone. Hisashi moves closer, hugs her, and says, "Then come spend the night with me." Just before they go inside and mess up his apartment, Natsumi appears and asks if he can crash at Hisashi's place for the night. Now is annoyed because the idiot ruined her plans for a romantic night. Frustrated, she storms into her room. Hisashi takes Natsumi inside to sleep. The next morning, Now wakes up, acting clumsily as usual. She decides to go wake Hisashi up so he can start his day with her beautiful face. She sneaks into his room and wakes him up. Half asleep, he pulls her in and kisses her. Now is surprised but delighted until she realizes that it wasn't Hisashi who kissed her, but Natsumi. Her world spins. Embarrassed, she runs out of the room. Amir, furious, grabs Natsumi, ready to punch him. But before he can, Natsumi apologizes, explaining that he was still half asleep and didn't realize what he was doing. Hisashi lets it go, but is still annoyed. Meanwhile, Now is freaking out, convinced that Hisashi is so jealous that he's probably beating Natsumi up at that very moment. She rushes back to stop him, only to find Hisashi casually chatting with Natsumi like nothing happened. She gets even more irritated, thinking, why isn't he jealous? She confronts Hisashi, but he acts indifferent. "It's no big deal. Natsumi didn't mean it, and I don't care," he says. Continuing to tidy up his room. Now storms off to her own room, fuming. Amir, however, is actually treating Natsumi coldly. Natsumi realizes Hisashi is jealous, but is just pretending not to be. He apologizes again, saying, "You must really love Now to be this upset." Amir replies, "Of course, but don't tell Now that I'm actually mad." Later, Now goes to school angrily eating a cake, still annoyed at Hisashi's reaction. Her friend notices and asks, "You're upset, huh? You wanted Hisashi to get jealous, didn't you?" Nor sighs. "Of course, but that idiot Hisashi acted like it didn't matter at all. That worries me." Just then, Abby shows up looking dejected. The two girls notice. "What's wrong? Got rejected again?" They ask. "Yeah," Abby sighs. "By who this time?" Abby groans. "It wasn't a girl this time. It was Hisashi. Every time I ask him to hang out, he refuses, and it's all because of Natsumi. Hisashi is always with him." Nor slams her hands on the table. "Natsumi again? He's the reason for all my problems with Hisashi. Before he showed up, Hisashi and I were like honey and butter." Fujioka smiles and welcomes them to the club. She explains that their activities focus on enhancing a woman's grace, confidence, and overall charm. Now gets excited, thinking this is exactly what she needs to win over Hisashi and prevent him from falling for the beautiful researcher. As they start their first session, Fujioka introduces them to the club's only male member, a handsome, refined young man named Ryo. Now and Ota are surprised to see that he exudes a mysterious and charismatic aura. Ryo greets them politely, but seems indifferent. Fujioka begins by teaching them how to carry themselves with elegance, walk gracefully, and exude an air of maturity. Now struggles with the exercises, tripping over herself and making awkward faces. Ota, on the other hand, picks up the skills quickly. Now gets frustrated and starts pouting, but Fujioka reassures her that charm isn't just about looks, it's about confidence. Later, Now and Ota sit down to take a break, and Now sighs. "I don't get it. Why does Hisashi always attract the most stunning girls? That researcher is like a perfect, intelligent goddess." Ota pats her on the back. "Don't overthink it. You just need to believe in yourself more." At that moment, Ryo approaches and leans in slightly toward Now. He looks at her closely and says, "You're interesting." Nor blinks in confusion. "Huh? You don't realize it, do you?" Ryo smirks. "You have a natural charm, but you're wasting it." Nor's face turns red. "What? Wasting it? What's that supposed to mean?" Ryo stands up and walks away, leaving Now completely confused and flustered. Ota giggles. "Looks like someone caught Ryo's attention." Meanwhile, at the lab, Hisashi continues helping the researcher. She watches him work and smirks. "You're surprisingly reliable. Are you sure you're just a student?" Amir shrugs. "I just like keeping things organized." She leans closer. "You know, I could use someone like you around permanently." Amir freezes for a second, feeling the tension in the air. Just then, he glances outside and spots Now lurking around the lab window, watching them with an intense glare. He sighs, knowing exactly what she's thinking. He turns back to the researcher. I appreciate the offer, but I have a distraction in my life that might not let me focus on work properly. The researcher raises an eyebrow. Distraction? Amir just smirks and continues working. As Now continues eating, she keeps glancing toward Isashi's apartment, feeling restless. Ota and Marina notice her frustration and exchange amused looks. Marina smirks. You're really obsessed with Isashi, huh? Noor huffs. I'm not obsessed, I'm just curious. What are they talking about for so long? Ota laughs. Well, if you're that curious, why don't we just go over there and crash their little guy's night? Noor's eyes widen. No way! Hisashi already kicked me out once. If I go back, he'll think I have nothing better to do. Marina leans in playfully. But you don't, Noor glares. Shut up! Meanwhile, inside Isashi's apartment, Natsumi sighs and leans back. So, are you going to take my advice or what? Now is obviously waiting for something from you, dude. At least act like you're interested. Amir shrugs. It's not that I'm not interested, I just don't think about it like you guys do. I love Now, but I don't feel the need to rush things. Abby shakes his head. Man, you're seriously living in your own world. Relationships aren't just about feelings. You need action, too. Amir raises an eyebrow. Oh yeah, and how many relationships have you been in, Mr. Expert? Abby clears his throat. That's not the point. Before their conversation can continue, they hear a sudden noise outside. Hisashi stands up and opens the door, only to find Now trying to press her ear against the wall. She stumbles back, caught red-handed. He's talking with Hisashi and Abi, giving them some advice on how to deal with girls. For example, when a girl says something ridiculous, just act as if you believe her, even if you know she's lying. Like, for real. He focuses a lot on Abi, who even writes down the advice. When he finishes with them, he walks away, but then turns back to Hisashi to give him one last piece of advice. He tells him, don't be stubborn. Show Now your feelings. Tell her that you were upset when I accidentally gave her CPR. Try to get closer to her tonight and make up with her. Then he leaves. At the same time, Now's friends have finished and are also heading home. Everyone goes their separate ways, leaving Now and Hisashi standing at the door. Before Hisashi can tell Now that he's upset about what happened between her and Natsumi, they start arguing again. Now gets frustrated and storms inside her apartment. She paces around fuming when suddenly she spots a cockroach. She screams and runs straight into Hisashi's apartment, terrified. She tells him about the cockroach, so he follows her back to her place to look for it. But after searching everywhere, he doesn't find it. There's no trace of it, Hisashi says. But don't worry, it's just a cockroach. And if there's one, that means there are probably more. Noor freaks out. Without thinking, she grabs a can of bug spray and sprays it all over the apartment. Then she rushes outside and stands at the door with Hisashi. That's it, the cockroaches will die now, she says confidently. Amir smirks. Good job, but, where are you gonna sleep tonight, genius? Noor freezes, realizing she has nowhere to go. She hesitates, unsure of what to say. Seeing no other option, Hisashi sighs and tells her she can stay at his place for the night. Later, Now goes into the bathroom to freshen up. While she's inside, Hisashi gets a call from Natsumi. He tells him that Now is in his apartment, and Natsume responds, Good. Try to get closer to her and make up. When Now comes out of the bathroom, she feels awkward and wants to go back to her apartment. But Hisashi stops her. You'll get sick from the bug spray if you stay there tonight, he warns her. Eventually, he convinces her to stay. As they prepare to sleep, Now lies beside Hisashi on the bed, feeling nervous. She accidentally falls off in her flustered state and struggles to fall asleep. Noticing this, Hisashi gets up and puts on a movie. They watch together until they eventually drift off. The next morning, Hisashi wakes up to find Now sleeping on top of him. While she's still asleep, he whispers, I was upset about what happened between you and Natsumi. Then he leans in and gives her CPR. Noor suddenly wakes up and catches him in the act. Hisashi turns red with embarrassment and quickly moves away. But Now, having felt what just happened, looks at him with wide eyes. You did it, didn't you? She asks, a huge smile spreading across her face. She realizes that this means he loves her. Overjoyed, she suddenly hugs him tightly, clinging to him like a koala. I love you, she says excitedly. Amir looks at her and finally gives in. They make up and he asks, How about we go on a date tonight? Noor's happiness soars. Of course, I'd love to. But before she can fully enjoy the moment, the doorbell rings. Hisashi gets up to open the door, and there stands Saiko, The researcher now freezes in shock. In that instant, she realizes that their date is ruined. And to make things worse, Hisashi calls Saiko by her first name. Now immediately feels jealous. Saiko tells Hisashi that she needs him for an urgent job and that she'll even increase his pay. Hisashi hesitates, then apologizes to Nao, saying he won't be able to go out with her. Nor, holding back her disappointment, forces a smile. Go ahead. Go to work. I'm not upset. We can go out another time. Amir looks at her, suspicious. Are you sure you're not mad? She nods. Yeah, I'm an adult. I have to think rationally. You need to work, and I'm totally fine with it. Saiko seems impressed by Nao's maturity. She thanks her and then leaves with Hisashi. Later, Nao meets up with Marina and Otto, fuming with frustration. Why did that idiot Hisashi go to work? Why did he go? She exclaims. Marina rolls her eyes. Are you serious? Didn't you just tell him to go? Nor crosses her arms. Yeah, but why did he actually go? Otto smirks. So, you're not mad that he went to work? You're mad because he called Saiko by her first name, aren't you? Nor stays silent for a moment, then sighs. Okay, fine. Yes. Marina nods knowingly. I thought so. He's never called any girl by her first name before, except for Yuri. And he used to love Yuri. So maybe that means he likes Saiko too, which would mean Hisashi only likes older women. Now gets even more jealous and starts imagining Hisashi flirting with Saiko in the lab. She snaps out of it and yells, Don't say that again! Never say that again! Just then, Marina gets a call from Matsuyoshi. Now glances at Marina's phone and sees a romantic-looking photo of Marina with him. Surprised, she asks, Since when do you take pictures like this together? Marina replies casually, For a while now. It's normal for couples. Then she steps away to answer the call. Nor scrolls through her own photos and realizes that all the pictures she's taken of Hisashi are of him alone. Otto notices and smirks. Wait, are you secretly taking pictures of Hisashi without him knowing? Otto asks. Nor nods. Yeah, because I love him. Otto laughs. Wow, you're way behind in this relationship. You need to take pictures with him. Ask him to take some together. That's normal for couples. A few hours later, Nao goes out for a walk. She gets a message and excitedly assumes it's from Hisashi, thinking he might say he misses her. But she's disappointed when she sees it's from Otto instead. Otto asks her to pick up some supplies for the club tomorrow. Nao sighs but heads to a store to buy them. While she's inside, she accidentally bumps into someone and falls. Looking up, she sees a little girl, and then notices that Natsume is with her. Natsume introduces the child. This is my little sister, Ari. Ari seems scared of Nao and hides behind Natsume, but Nao notices a stuffed squirrel toy in Ari's bag. That's such a cute squirrel, she says gently. Ari hesitates but starts to warm up to her. She lets Nao interact with her, and soon, she's not scared anymore. Natsume takes Ari inside to buy what she wants, but Nao's curiosity kicks in and she can't help but spy on them. Watching them together, she suddenly gets the urge to buy the exact same stuffed squirrel. She searches the store but can't find one. Frustrated, she doesn't know what to do. Natsume notices and asks, Why do you want to buy the same one? She hesitates before admitting, Because I want to give it as a gift. To a boy I love. Natsume looks surprised. That's risky. You need to be careful. Not all boys are good. But Ari speaks up. No, he's a good boy. I love him. Nor hears this and laughs. When Natsume and Ari start walking again, Nao tries to hide, but she's terrible at it. Natsume easily spots her. Caught, she quickly makes up an excuse. Turning to Ari, she says, Hey, I can help you find another squirrel like yours. Ari agrees and Nao takes her to look. Natsume watches how well Nao handles his sister and finds himself liking her kind heart even more. They search everywhere but can't find an identical squirrel. Ari gets really upset, so Nao quickly thinks of a way to cheer her up. He loved Yuri. To cheer Ari up, Nao suggests, What do you think about me showing you real squirrels? Ari agrees happily, and they put Ari in bed and let her sleep. Nao enters the kitchen and starts cooking for Ari. They all taste the food and everyone loves it. Natsume says, You're definitely a family chef. Nor responds, Of course. Cooking is the one thing I'm confident I can do well. She adds that she's been cooking for Hisashi every day since their high school days, trying to improve so that Hisashi would like her more. This makes Natsume admire her even more. He realizes that Nao is making such an effort to make Hisashi happy. He then says, I'm the opposite. I've never done something like that, nor have I ever thought about putting in that kind of effort for someone I love. Noor looks at him and says, "You're just pretending. You do more than that for your sister, Ari. You care for her." She continues, "And you know the boy Ari wanted to give a gift to. Who do you think it is? It's you. Ari told me herself. She wanted to give you a gift because you care so much about her. She loves you." Natsume is touched by her words. He tells now how much he loves his sister, Ari, and how after their mother passed away, he's been the one taking care of her and trying his best to comfort her. At that moment, Hisashi comes home. The moment he sees Natsume in Nao's apartment, he remembers what Dachi had said. If you're not interested in Nao, she might fall for someone else. Amir misunderstands the situation and gets upset. He approaches Nao, grabs her hand forcefully, and takes her into his apartment. When he realizes how tightly he's holding her hand, he immediately lets go and apologizes. He tells her, "Stay here until I come back." Natsume walks in, and before Hisashi can snap at him, Natsume apologizes, explaining that he was only there because his sister was sick. Hisashi feels relieved and understands that he misunderstood the situation. He asks Natsume if his sister is okay now. Natsume reassures him, saying, "Yes, she's fine now. Thanks to Nao for helping her." Amir and Natsume talk for a bit, and Hisashi shares that he had an older brother who used to care for him, and he loved him very much. But his brother is now traveling. They continue talking about Nao. Natsume tells Hisashi, "You really should take pictures with Nao. She seems upset because you don't take pictures together, and that's why she's sad today." Amir apologizes again for misunderstanding, then takes Natsume's sister, and they leave. Hisashi and Nao walk with them, and Nao says goodbye to Airi. After they leave, Hisashi asks Nao, "How about we go out for dinner together?" Noor agrees, asking, "What would you like to eat?" Amir replies, "Anything you cook I love, let's just eat at home." Noor is delighted by his words. They order some takeout and head home to cook together. On their way back, they stop by the water for a bit. Hisashi gets closer to Nao, and they take a picture together. Nao's joy grows even more. Hisashi then hugs her, and they share a romantic moment by the water before heading off to eat. The next day, Hisashi and Nao are having lunch together at school. While joking and arguing over a piece of meat, Dachi arrives and sits with them. He says to Nao, "Here, take this food. I know you like it." Noor laughs and says, "No, that's your food." Amir teasingly adds, "Are you two competing to feed each other now?" He takes the food and eats it. Then Nana arrives as well. She sits down and gets introduced to Nao. Natsume also arrives and gets introduced to Nana. Nana starts teasing Dachi and asks him if he had a girlfriend back in high school. He denies it, but Nana insists, "No way, it's obvious you were into Nao." This makes Hisashi uncomfortable, and Nao is shocked and embarrassed, not knowing how to respond. Hisashi then stands up to leave for his classes. On his way out, he runs into Saika, who is all dressed up. She tries to impress him with her looks and tells him she takes care of herself after work. However, Hisashi doesn't seem interested and casually comments, "I like how your hair is messy and not well kept." He wishes her a good day and walks away. That night, Hisashi comes back home and finds Nao wearing strange clothes. He's surprised and asks, "What's going on today? Why are you dressed like that?" Nao explains that she's been working at a gift and flower shop to help people feel happy, and that's her work uniform. She keeps praising the job, but Hisashi doesn't seem to care much. The next day, Nao goes to the shop to start her work, only to find Natsume working there too. She's shocked and says, "You again, what's next? Are you going to pop up in a gift bag too?" They work together, and after work, Natsume stays at the university for a while. As he sits, Nana walks past him, and he stops her to ask why she's upset, and if she's made up with Dachi after embarrassing Nao. Nana gets lost in thought, remembering when she told Nao that Dachi had liked her. We find out that Dachi took it lightly and joked that Nao had rejected him, but he didn't get upset. Nana was hurt and walked away. Dachi followed her and told her it wasn't okay to ask Nao a question like that, because it embarrassed her. He notices that Nana has feelings for Dachi, though she hasn't admitted it to him. He suggests that Nana try to forget about Dachi to avoid being hurt. Nana, however, says she won't be able to forget him, especially since she sees him every day. She walks away, leaving Natsume to reflect on his own feelings for Nao. He looks at his work schedule and realizes he'll be seeing her every day, which makes it harder for him to deal with his feelings. The next day, after Hisashi finds out that Natsume is working with Nao, he warns him to be careful with Nao at work. He says, I know it's going to be tough for you working with her, but make sure to look out for her. Natsume agrees. Of course. At work now makes several mistakes and nearly breaks a lot of things, but Natsume always steps in to help her at the last moment, without her noticing. Later, Nao is helping out a friend in the shop when she slams the door too hard, causing herself to fall, but Natsume saves her again. A customer named Azaro arrives, looking for a gift to propose to his girlfriend. The shop owner gives him a music-playing gift box and tells him to give it to his girlfriend. If she accepts it, she'll agree to live with him forever. Now daydreams, imagining Hisashi giving her a similar gift box and proposing to her for them to stay together forever. She feels incredibly happy, wishing that Hisashi would propose to her. Nana then arrives at the shop, and it's clear that she's very jealous of Nao. Nor meets Nana, and Nana says she wants a gift for someone she loves, but that person loves another girl, and that girl is using him and will never love him back. Nana is referring to Nao, but Nao doesn't pick up on it. Before Nana can say anything more hurtful about Nao, Natsume intervenes. He tells Nao, "Go check on Azaro, he's looking for you." Then he confronts Nana saying, "You didn't come here to get a gift, you came to annoy Nao, didn't you? You're just like a ring on her finger." That evening, as Nao is heading home with Natsume, she talks about Azaro and how he plans to propose to his girlfriend so they can live together forever. Natsume responds, "I don't understand how someone could want to live with just one person when there are so many other beautiful girls out there. Why waste your life with just one?" He goes on to say that Azaro's girlfriend will likely reject the proposal because that's just how the world works. Nao gets upset and retorts, "You're so stupid, there's nothing better than spending your whole life with your first love." Of course, Azaro's girlfriend will say yes. She's frustrated by Natsume's comment and walks away. The next day, Natsume meets with Hisashi, and they talk briefly about Nao's overly romantic nature. They have lunch together, and later that evening, as Natsume heads home, Nao calls him, asking him to come quickly. When he arrives, he finds Nao hiding behind a tree. She shows him Azaro proposing to his girlfriend, offering her a gift and asking her to live with him forever. Nao insists that Azaro's girlfriend will say yes. Natsume and Nao both wait eagerly for the answer, and indeed, Azaro's girlfriend accepts the gift and agrees to marry him. Nao is ecstatic and says, "I was right, I told you that true love exists." Natsume, happy to see Nao so joyful, smiles and says, "You won, didn't you?" Nor responds, "You'll find a girl who you want to spend your life with too." Natsume stays silent, unable to respond because he's in love with her. But she's in love with Hisashi. The next day, Azaro returns the gift to the shop and tells everyone that his girlfriend accepted the proposal in front of others to avoid embarrassing him. But later, when they were alone, she told him that she couldn't stay with him forever. Azaro gives them the gift back, saying every time he looks at it, it reminds him of his rejection. Nor arrives at the shop and notices the gift is being hidden so she wouldn't see it and feel upset. She tells the shop owner that Azaro proposed to his girlfriend, but before she can say that Azaro's girlfriend turned him down, she gets interrupted. However, Nao realizes that something is being hidden and tries to see what it is, but can't. The shop owner, frustrated, yells at them, causing the gift to fall. Nao sees it and realizes what happened, that Azaro was rejected. The shop owner tells Nao that Azaro's girlfriend turned him down, and this is the reality of life. She advises Nao to understand that not all love stories are forever and to be prepared for disappointment. Nor breaks down in tears and apologizes to Natsume for being wrong about eternal love. She leaves the shop feeling sad and defeated. As she walks, she reflects on the shop owner's words and remembers how she often made mistakes. Natsume was always there to help her, without her realizing it. And the shop owner tells her that she needs to focus more on her work. Meanwhile, at the university, Dachi and Nana are walking together, and before Nana can confess her feelings for him, their friends call out to them, joking that they're secretly dating. Dachi gets upset and tells them, "Nana and I, our relationship will never turn into love." As they joke around with his friends, Nana gets upset, realizing that Dachi will never love her because he still loves Nao. Nao continues walking, feeling sad and discouraged, until evening when she finds Hisashi waiting for her. He says he's worried about her and tells her that if she's going to be late in the future, she should let him know. He walks her out and asks why she seems sad. Unlike in the morning at the university, Nao stays quiet and doesn't respond. He tells her if work is the reason, she can quit and work at the instant noodle shop instead. because it seems like she's not cut out for the gift shop job. This makes Now feel worse, and she tells him, "So you think I'm not fit for the job I have? No, I'm not quitting. I'll keep working there and put in my best effort to learn and help people." Hisashi apologizes, saying he didn't mean to upset her, and tries to calm her down. The next day, Nao goes to work and gives her best effort, but still makes a mistake, spilling water. She apologizes to the shop owner and continues working. Nana comes in to buy a gift, and Nao is happy to see her, supporting her. Nana tells Nao that the guy she likes is interested in her, and Nao responds, "No, he likes another girl." Nana insists, "You're just saying that to upset me." Nao is confused, wondering why Nana is so upset since she was just trying to help. After Nana leaves, Nao feels bad about getting angry with her for no reason. Later that evening, Nao returns home and finds Hisashi left food for her with a note apologizing if he said anything to upset her. She smiles and goes inside. Hisashi speaks to her and apologizes again, telling her that she's perfect for the job because she works hard to help people. He reminds her of when they first met, when some girls spilled water on her in the storeroom, and despite that, she defended him and got upset that they called him a loser. He tells her he's lucky to have met her. Nao is touched by his words and starts to cry. Hisashi then tells her that he will get his salary tomorrow and invites her to a romantic dinner the next day. Nao is excited and agrees. The next day, Nao goes to see Nana to apologize if she said anything that upset her when Nana visited the shop. Nana is surprised but apologizes as well, understanding that Nao is kind and sincere. After they talk, Nao leaves to meet Hisashi as planned. However, before she can enter the lab, she receives a call from the shop owner asking her to come back urgently because a client booked an event for the next day and they need to organize everything for it. Nao feels disappointed but decides to go back to the shop. She sends Hisashi a message explaining that she had to go to work, and Hisashi laughs, continuing with his own work. At the shop, Nao arrives but finds it empty. She receives a message telling her to organize everything for the event. She works hard, arranging gifts for the party. As she's setting up, she accidentally knocks over many gifts. And when she's blowing up balloons, she pops a lot of them. Later that evening, Natsume is walking with a girl when he overhears two girls who work at Nor gets upset and tells him, "You're stupid. Why did you cross the line when we were just fooling around?" Natsume responds, "What? Are you really acting or just pretending? Do you even know how to act or memorize lines?" Nao stays silent, and they continue rehearsing. Before Natsume tries to get closer to her again, Hisashi walks by. He turns around and sits down to work. Nao gets annoyed again and says, "You're really stupid." They keep arguing for a little while, with Natsume noticing that Hisashi is jealous of Nao. To make Hisashi more jealous, he asks Nao, "What will you do about the kiss scene at the end of the play?" Nao is shocked and looks at the script, realizing that there's a scene where the hero and heroine perform artificial respiration at the end. She doesn't know what to say to Hisashi about it. Natsume laughs and says, "I'm just kidding. Don't worry, in this scene I'll fake the kiss. We won't actually do it." Nao feels reassured. The next day they both do a rehearsal in front of Abi. Abi is shocked and doesn't believe it because Nao's performance is weak, and she hasn't memorized her lines at all. But Nao doesn't care. She asks, "So what do you think of my performance?" Abi responds, "Well, I guess we just have to pray for it." While they're together, Marina arrives and notices that Nao looks upset. She takes Nao to the dining hall, where Nao is shocked when Marina says she broke up with Matsuichi. Nao asks why, and Marina explains that she has felt lonely since Matsuichi entered university and grew distant. Recently, they've been arguing a lot, and today, when she had another argument with him, she told him they should break up and ended the conversation. Nor feels bad for her and tells Marina she should try to talk to Matsuichi and resolve their issues. They leave the dining hall to go back to Marina's apartment to continue their conversation. Meanwhile, in the lab, Hisashi gets a message from Matsuichi saying he's outside his apartment. Hisashi excuses himself from his driver and heads out. When he arrives at the apartment, he finds Matsuichi, who is devastated about his breakup with Marina. Hisashi invites him inside, and Matsuichi tells him what happened. Hisashi advises him to talk to Marina and try to fix things. A few moments later, They both hear Now and Marina outside. They stop talking, so Marina won't know that Matsuichi is inside. Now knocks on Hisashi's door. When he doesn't answer, Marina tells Now that she's going to leave. She leaves, feeling sad about Matsuichi and Marina. As she's walking, Natsume spots her, takes her aside, and they sit together. Marina tells him about what happened and how Hisashi didn't want to help her. Natsume replies, "Honestly, I agree with Hisashi. If Matsuichi and Marina love each other, they should solve their problems themselves, but I'll help you with anything else you need." Soon, Hisashi arrives and says that he agrees with what Now wants to do, and will help her as well. Now feels happy and thanks him. They return home, and when they see her jumping with joy, they realize that she's back to her usual lively self. The day of the play arrives. Now brings Matsuichi along to surprise Marina by having him perform artificial respiration. The show starts, and Now enters, playing the lead role. However, she makes a mistake and falls, turning the romantic play into a comedy due to her unintentional actions. Before the artificial respiration scene comes up, she fakes a stomach cramp and tells Marina to finish the scene herself. Marina agrees and enters the coffin, waiting for the prince to arrive and perform the artificial respiration. Nor is thrilled and tries to get Matsuichi to surprise Marina and perform artificial respiration, bringing them back together. However, she can't find him and learns that he was scared and ran away. She rushes outside, looking for him, but without success. Hisashi sees her, feeling sorry for her, and tells her to return to the play while he searches for Matsuichi. He leaves her and runs to find Matsuichi. After talking with him and calming him down, he convinces him to go back to the stage and follow Nao's plan to show Marina how much he loves her. They return to the stage, and Matsuichi is dressed as the prince, taking the place of the original character. Just as he's about to open the coffin and kiss Marina, she opens it first, surprised to see Matsuichi instead of the prince. He falls down, and Marina wonders why Matsuichi is playing the prince. Matsuichi apologizes if anything he did upset her, explaining that he suffers even more at university because he constantly misses her. He confesses that he loves her deeply. Marina is touched and starts crying. They hug, and the audience applauds their performance. The play is a success, and Now is overjoyed, jumping with happiness with Hisashi after they helped bring Matsuichi and Marina back together. Afterward, Marina thanks Now, Hisashi, and Matsuichi for everything they did for her and Matsuichi. Hisashi's father arrives and tells them he'll throw a party to celebrate the success of the play. They start getting dressed for the celebration, Natsume seeing Now so happy and jumping around with Hisashi. As the days pass, Hisashi's birthday approaches, and there is just a week left. Now goes to the craft club and spends time thinking about what gift to get for Hisashi. Gyoka notices Now is unusually cheerful and asks her about it. Now responds, "Amir's birthday is coming up and I want to surprise him with a party and a gift, but sadly I don't know what to get him." Hisashi shows up and Now gets excited. She says, "You're here to take me, right?" He replies, "Yes, didn't you tell me?" Now answers, "No, go ahead now because I still have some things to do." Hisashi leaves and Now gets closer to Gyoka and Ota. She tells them, "I visited many stores today looking for a gift for Hisashi, but I couldn't find anything that he would like." They suggest, "Why not ask him what kind of gift he would like?" Now says, "No, I can't do that. I want to surprise him, and I don't want him to know I'm thinking about his birthday." She asks them, "Don't tell Hisashi you know." They laugh and tell her, "Your secret is safe with us." Afterward, her friends leave, and Now reminds them at the door not to talk to Hisashi about the surprise. They agree, "We won't tell him you remember his birthday, and you're planning to surprise him." As they leave, they run into Hisashi. They look at him surprised and ask, "Did you hear us talking to Now?" Hisashi replies, "It's about my birthday. I know Now will surprise me with a party. I can tell even without hearing you. I'm sure she remembers my birthday." They tell him, "Nor is trying her hardest to surprise you. If she finds out you know, she'll be upset. So act clueless and be surprised when the party happens." Hisashi stays quiet and decides to act surprised. Later, Hisashi sits with Now to watch TV, while she is behind him, plotting and thinking about the gift she wants to get for him. Now stands up. He knows everything Now is planning for his birthday. She hopes that when he's surprised, he'll say, "I'm so happy you remembered my birthday." He takes the list and places it on the bed again without her seeing it. He notices many things that show she's thinking about his birthday, so he hides them so she doesn't realize that he knows. The next day, Nao walks with Hisashi and asks him many questions about his preferences, doing it to figure out the perfect gift for him. Hisashi responds, but starts getting annoyed and says, "Are there more questions left?" She replies, "Just 40 more questions." He laughs, saying it's a small number, and continues answering her questions. Amir's father comes by, and before Hisashi can tell him he remembered his birthday, gives him a playful slap on the face. He says, "You're so dumb, now wants to surprise me. I'm acting like a fool, so don't talk about it in front of her," and leaves for work. Meanwhile, Natsumi is standing at the lab, looking sad and lost in thought, thinking about Nao. His colleague Saika enters and, noticing his mood, realizes that he likes Nao. She feels the same way about Hisashi, but doesn't know how to tell him. Saika calls out to Natsumi before talking to him, but just then, Nao arrives with Hisashi. Saika stays silent and keeps the matter to herself. As she walks away, Nao is still focused on the question she asked Hisashi and keeps bumping into things as she walks. Her friends try to greet her, but she's not aware of them. She sits down and continues thinking about the perfect gift for Hisashi. Hisashi talks to Saika and Natsumi about how Nao is trying to surprise him for his birthday. He says it's hard to surprise him when he already knows everything, but he's still happy about Nao's effort. Saika says, "If I were your girlfriend, I would have kept the secret and really surprised you, making you happy." She adds that it seems like Natsume is struggling in his relationship with Nao. Natsumi responds, "No, of course not. I love Nao very much." He explains that one of the things he likes most about her is her effort in everything she does. Saika looks at him and says, "Do you know why Nao worked in the toy shop? To get you a birthday gift?" She says, "Nor seems to really love you, and you need to pretend you're surprised so she doesn't feel upset." Natsumi nods, then leaves. Saika follows him and says, "How long are you going to keep pretending?" She asks him, "You like Nao, right?" He denies it, and she says, "Your behavior is really strange." She admits Amir acts clueless and enters. Nao follows, and she starts preparing the food for Hisashi's birthday party the next day. That night, she lies on the bed, excited for the next day's celebration. The next day, she wakes up early, gathers the decorations, and hides them so Hisashi doesn't find out. At the lab, she brings a cake for Hisashi and stands there nervously. She practices different ways of wishing Hisashi a happy birthday, but when he arrives, she gets even more anxious. Just before she hands him the cake, a couple of her lab colleagues interrupt her moment, and she hides the cake. They talk about some experiments they've done, but now feels frustrated because they ruined the romantic moment. She snaps at them, saying, "Get out of here and do those experiments again from the start." The colleagues get scared and leave. Noor heads to a watch shop and finds a watch that she loves. She decides to buy it for Hisashi, but the saleswoman tells her it's been reserved for someone else for a week, and there are no more available. Now feels disappointed and leaves, upset that she couldn't find a gift for Hisashi. She goes to the beach, feeling sad that she wasn't able to get him a gift. By chance, she runs into Natsumi, who is walking with another girl. He approaches her and asks why she looks so sad. Now tells him that she couldn't find a gift for Hisashi. Natsumi says, "If you celebrate Hisashi's birthday while you're sad, he won't be happy either." He adds, "It's not the gift that matters much. It's the celebration and the joy of the day." Nao agrees and smiles, realizing he's right. She says, "I have to be happy today, so I can make Hisashi happy." She thanks him for always helping her. The girl who was with Natsumi asks him, "Is this your girlfriend?" Natsumi jokes, "No, my taste is much better than that," and leaves with the girl. Now is left confused by Natsumi's response and senses that something has changed in him recently. Later in the lab, the supervisor tells Natsumi to do some urgent work. Natsumi's colleague Saika is upset and says it's not possible. The supervisor insists that Hisashi will help him. He leaves them and Natsumi apologizes to Hisashi, asking if he can wait with her for the urgent task to be completed. Hisashi agrees and she thanks him. She then nervously gives him the cake, wishing him a happy birthday. She quickly leaves, and Hisashi is puzzled but doesn't pay much attention. He picks up the cake to eat it and later sends Nao a message saying he'll be late because of some urgent work. Noor continues to prepare the food for the party and waits for Hisashi to return. Meanwhile, the girl who was with Natsumi gets angry at him. She takes him somewhere and starts bullying him. Hisashi finishes his work and hurries back home. On the way, he sends Nao a message saying he's on his way back. Nao is excited and asks him to come to her apartment. She begins putting up decorations. Natsumi, still with the girl, happens to pass by Hisashi. He overhears the girl saying that Natsumi is in danger. Hisashi stops and turns around to ask her about Natsumi. He learns where he is and what's happening to him. Hisashi rushes to the location, where Natsumi is being bullied by the girl and another person. Before they can do more, Hisashi arrives and saves him. Nor gets worried when Hisashi doesn't reply to her messages and calls. She goes downstairs, anxiously waiting for him. She tries calling him again, but he still doesn't pick up, and she starts fearing that he might have had an accident. She doesn't know what to do. Amir helps Natsumi walk back home, supporting him as he goes. Natsumi feels upset with himself. He tells Hisashi to leave and go, as Nao is probably waiting for him to surprise him, and she might get upset if her plan doesn't go as expected. But Hisashi refuses, saying, "No, I won't leave you. I'm taking you with me so I can help treat your wound." He walks Natsumi toward home, and when they get closer, Hisashi sees Nao sitting there. He's surprised and approaches her. Nao hugs him, saying she was so worried. Hisashi apologizes for not calling and letting her know he'd be late. Nor then notices Natsumi and realizes what happened to him. Natsumi tries to leave so as not to ruin their evening, but Nao runs after him and grabs him. She says, "I'm not letting you leave until I treat your wound," and without thinking adds, "You're such an idiot. You had to get into a fight tonight of all nights, and it's Hisashi's birthday. I wanted to surprise him." She freezes, realizing what she's just said, and quickly turns to Hisashi, asking, "Did you hear that?" Hisashi, trying to act surprised, says, "What? You remembered my birthday? I'm so happy, thank you so much." Nor is confused and says, "Wait a minute, that's exactly what was on the list I made." She then understands that Hisashi already knew and feels disappointed that her surprise plan failed. They all go inside Hisashi's apartment, and when he enters, he finds it decorated. He smiles, realizing how much Nao loves him and how much effort she put into making his day special. Nao then takes Natsumi to her apartment where she treats his wound. She notices that he's been acting strange for a few days, so she asks, "What's going on with you? You've been acting odd lately. What's the reason?" Natsumi, trying to avoid the question, brushes it off. Amir arrives and tells them that Natsumi should leave. They try to convince him to stay for dinner, but Natsumi leaves, and both Hisashi and Nao worry about him. Hisashi wants to follow him, but Nao suggests, "Go ahead and check on him. I'll be fine here with you." She then wishes him a happy birthday and says, "Unfortunately, I couldn't get you a gift." Amir is moved and says, "You've already given me so much. The gift doesn't matter. What matters is that you're with me." Nao is overjoyed, and they share a romantic moment together. Natsumi, meanwhile, is walking in the rain. Confused, Amir helps Natsumi, supporting him as they walk. Natsumi feels bad about himself and tells Hisashi to leave him, saying that Nao must be waiting for him now to surprise him. He worries that things might not go as planned. Hisashi refuses, saying he won't leave him and will take him home to tend to his wounds. They walk together. On their way, Hisashi tells Natsumi that he's noticed he's been acting differently and asks if there's something going on. Natsumi laughs it off, but Hisashi presses, saying, "Something's changed with you and it's making you sad. Both Nao and I have noticed." Suddenly, Natsumi stops and says, "What would you do if I told you I love Nao? That's why I've been so sad." Hisashi is shocked and says, "I'd be very upset, of course." Natsumi laughs again and says, "I'm just joking. I'm not changed, and neither am I sad. You and Nao are just imagining things." Amir feels relieved and says, "Don't joke like that again. Don't play around with me." They let the matter go, and Hisashi believes Natsumi was just joking. The next day at school, the three of them are together. When Natsumi sees Nao and Hisashi laughing and enjoying each other's company, he feels upset. He gets up and leaves. Meanwhile, we learn that Datch and the team are traveling the day after tomorrow for a match, but Nana can't go with them since she can't share a room with the team due to being a girl. The team's budget doesn't allow for a separate room. Nana is disappointed, but she decides to support the team and Datch in her own way. She goes to the craft club and asks Fujioka to make her flags with the team's names on them to cheer them on. She shows Fujioka the design for the flags, hoping she can make them. However, Fujioka apologizes, saying she's busy and won't be available for the next couple of days. Nana is upset and pleads for her help since the team is leaving soon, but Fujioka can't assist. Now Kama, who overhears, approaches Nana and offers to help with the flags. Adi also agrees to help, and together they start working on the flags. While they're working, Now asks Nana about the person she likes, and Nana admits that the person is on the team. Now asks how far she's gotten with him, and Nana replies that the person likes someone else. To avoid hurting him, Nana decided to remain just his friend and not tell him. She hopes that, one day, if they keep seeing each other, he might fall in love with her. They get lost in the conversation, and Natsumi is conflicted about his own feelings for Now. Should he follow Saika's advice and confess his feelings to Now, or listen to Nana's advice and remain just a friend to avoid hurting her? Natsumi eventually leaves with Nana to grab drinks, still uncertain about what to do. The next day, Hisashi sees Natsumi and asks him why he's been avoiding everyone. Natsumi brushes it off and says it's because he's been busy with a lot of girls, but in reality, he's upset with himself. He feels like he's betraying Hisashi because he has feelings for Now. Hisashi then says that he knows Now asked Natsumi to help with the flags and apologizes for her always bothering him. He adds that he knows Natsumi is going to Now's apartment tonight to continue working on the flags and tells him to look out for her since he won't be around. He's going out to dinner with Saika. Natsumi is taken aback and says, "How can you go out with Saika alone? That's wrong." Hisashi starts to suspect and asks, "Do you like Saika or something?" Natsumi laughs it off, saying, "Of course not." But Hisashi doesn't fully believe him. He walks away since work is starting. Saika appears, fixing her appearance, and Natsumi is impressed when he sees her. He tells her, "I can't betray Hisashi, especially since he sees me as a good friend." He expresses his love for Now, saying that Hisashi sees him as just a friend to Now. Saika asks, "Is that really how you feel?" Natsumi responds, "No, but it's the right thing to do," and leaves. Saika heads to the lab, hoping Hisashi will notice her efforts to look good and be impressed by her beauty, but Hisashi is too focused on his work to notice. Saika feels disappointed and upset. Meanwhile, Natsumi, Nana, and Ada arrive at Nao's house to continue working on the flags. Nao wants to embroider Dach's flag, but Nana insists on doing it herself. They both tug on the flag, and in the struggle, a drink spills on it and ruins it. Nao apologizes to Nana, saying it wasn't intentional. She suggests making a new one and reassures her. Nana, feeling emotional, confesses, "I wanted to make the flag for him because I like him, but he likes you now. So I decided to hide my feelings and stay just his friend." This makes Natsumi think deeply, and he starts to realize that Nana's feelings are valid. He approaches Now and confesses, "I also have feelings for someone, and I decided to hide them and just be a friend." Now is surprised and asks, "Wait, you like me?" Natsumi laughs at her confusion, saying, "Of course not." They continue their work, but at the same time, Hisashi goes to dinner with Saika. Saika presses Hisashi, asking how he met Now, and subtly pushes his buttons, mentioning how she could have been in Nao's place. This bothers Now, and she tries to hide her discomfort by stepping away to get something. Amir notices and follows her, asking if she's okay. Now turns around trying to smile, but tears well up in her eyes. But Nana pretends that she's fine and says, "It's okay, I can handle it." She leaves and walks away. Now then heads to the crafts club, still lost in thought, debating whether she should tell Hisashi what happened. She starts doubting herself, but shakes it off. As she looks up, she sees Ada in front of her. Ada asks, "What's wrong?" Now gets nervous and says, "Nothing." However, she decides to share what happened with her, and Ada advises her to tell Hisashi as soon as possible to avoid the situation escalating. She also says that Hisashi might misunderstand if he hears it from someone else. Now agrees with Ada's advice. Later, Abi, with Marina and Matsuishi, tells Now and Ada that he's planning a camping trip by the sea at the end of the week and invites everyone to come along. They agree to join. When they ask what he'll be using to get there, he says, "I'll drive my father's car, but since I don't have a license, Natsumi will be driving us." Now and Ada get tense when they hear that Natsumi is coming along. Before Ada can say anything about Natsumi's past actions with Now interrupts and puts a toy in her face. Now asks Abi if Hisashi knows yet, and Abi says no, but he'll tell him now and Hisashi will definitely agree. Meanwhile, Hisashi is frustrated, knocking things around in the lab. Saika notices and asks what's wrong, but Hisashi brushes it off, saying he's fine. She changes the subject and invites him to attend a conference with her at the end of the week, a conference hosted by a doctor she admires. Hisashi hesitates but agrees. Later, Hisashi meets up with Abe and others, and when he sees Saika, he is immediately taken by her and introduces himself. He then tells Hisashi about the trip, but Hisashi mentions that he has already made plans with Saika to attend a conference instead. Abe asks where the conference is, and when they tell him the location, he gets excited and tells them that it's the same city where they'll be camping. He hands them the tickets and tells them to join them afterward if they finish the conference. Hisashi asks Abe how he plans to drive since he doesn't have a license, and Abe says, "Oh, Natsumi will drive us." Hisashi grows upset and more frustrated. Later, Now finishes at the crafts club and is walking when Hisashi stops her and apologizes again. She tells him it's okay and that she's planning to tell Hisashi about everything tonight and resolve the issue between them. She goes home, makes dinner, and sends Hisashi a message asking him to come for dinner. The host announces that they are the millionth visitors to the place, so they win a prize. She asks when they met, and Now quickly responds that she and Natsumi are not a couple. The host then says that the prize is a large amount of meat and they need to be a couple to win it. Now thinks for a moment and then pulls Natsumi aside. She says, "Let's pretend we're a couple just to get the prize. Hisashi really loves meat, and I want to get this for him." Natsumi agrees and they pretend to be a couple, taking photos together. They receive the prize along with a bouquet of flowers symbolizing love and connection. Later, Saika and Hisashi finish the conference. Hisashi sees a photo of Now looking sad and decides to go to her. Saika notices that Hisashi seems distracted and asks, "Why are you so distracted lately?" Hisashi replies, "If someone is hiding something from their partner, what does that mean?" Saika says, "It means they're wrong for hiding it, and that's why they can't tell their partner." Hisashi starts to think that Now might be hiding something from him, and that she might have feelings for Natsumi. Meanwhile, Now and the others go to the beach to camp. Hisashi calls Kabel and tells him that he and Saika are on their way. After hanging up, Kabel mentions that Hisashi is coming, and Now's mood lifts as she hears this. Hisashi arrives at the location, but before entering, Saika keeps talking to him, though he doesn't listen. He leaves her and walks away, more upset. Saika, seeing a picture of Now and Natsumi together, realizes that Hisashi is upset and distracted because of them. Nor, on the other hand, is making a surprise gift for Hisashi. When she accidentally breaks one of the seashells she was using, she decides to go to the beach to find more. Hisashi notices her and decides to follow her to apologize. When he doesn't find her at the spot, he heads to the beach. Now is searching for seashells when she hears a noise and turns to see Natsumi, who has tripped over the seaweed. He laughs and explains he stumbled, and Now teases him, saying, "How can you trip over something so simple?" They joke and laugh together. Hisashi arrives and sees Now laughing with Natsumi, making him more suspicious. He turns to leave, but Now runs after him, calling him to stop. She says, "I got you the meat you love." Hisashi turns to her and asks, "Is that the only thing you wanted to tell me?" She replies, "Yes." Hisashi then asks, "Are you sure?" Now, noticing his change in attitude, says, "You've been different lately." Hisashi becomes sadder and says, "I guess I've changed too," before walking away. As the night continues, everyone works together to set up the campfire, and they realize they need another grill to finish cooking. Amir approaches and sees Natsumi close to Now, which only increases his suspicion. He hesitates for a moment before walking towards them. Now, feeling the tension, quickly tries to stand up with Natsumi's help, but she's still anxious. Hisashi stops in his tracks when he notices the situation, and Natsumi steps back to give them space. Now quickly looks up at Hisashi and apologizes, saying, "I didn't mean for things to get this complicated." Hisashi, still unsure about what's happening, doesn't respond immediately. Natsumi, feeling guilty for the misunderstanding, steps aside and tells Now, "Just tell him everything, it's the only way you'll fix it." Now nods nervously and finally gathers the courage to speak. She turns to Hisashi and says, "I never meant to keep anything from you. The truth is, I've been hiding something. I didn't want to hurt you." Hisashi looks at her with confusion and frustration, but says nothing. Now continues, I've always cared about you, Hisashi, but I made a mistake by not being honest with you earlier. Amir is silent for a long time, processing her words. He can feel the weight of the tension between them, but Hisashi says, It looks like you enjoyed the kiss. If that's the case, you should have told me from the start. Now gets upset and says, You've misunderstood. But she doesn't know how to make him understand. She leaves feeling sad. Natsumi worries about her and tells Hisashi to follow her and talk to her. Hisashi says, The conversation is over. If you're really worried, then you go after her. Natsumi agrees and leaves to find her. Nor pretends she's not upset and is talking to Auta, who asks if she talked to Hisashi. Now says, Yes, everything is fine now. Auta is happy for her and says, Now I can enjoy the trip as long as you're happy. But as soon as everyone moves a little away, Now stands there crying and unsure of what to do. Hisashi sits in a room alone, and Saika comes to ask him what's wrong. He tells her that Natsumi gave Now CPR, and if anyone else had done that, he would have ended the relationship. Hisashi keeps thinking about the situation. Meanwhile, Natsumi sits with Now and tries to comfort her, telling her, You're being foolish. You do everything for Hisashi. You'd be better off with someone who loves you instead of someone you love. Now stays silent, not responding. Then she receives a message from Hisashi, saying he's waiting for her in the cabin and wants to talk. She decides to go to him, thinking they'll talk about their issues. But when she arrives, Hisashi says, I've thought a lot and we should take a break from each other, avoid talking, and not eat together. This way we'll have time to think and figure out what we really want. Now is shocked and everything feels overwhelming. She says, I knew you wouldn't believe me, but she can't make him understand. When they return from the trip, Uda and Marina see Now looking upset. They ask her what happened with Hisashi. Now says, It's a small issue, don't worry about it. But Abu, sitting next to her, interrupts. He says, A small issue? Amir asks Natsumi, Why didn't you believe Now? Natsumi responds, Do you love Now? Hisashi replies, Yes, I do. What will you do about it? Can I take her away from you if you're not willing to trust her? Hisashi stays silent, not knowing how to respond. Natsumi insists, Answer me, what will you do? Then he hits Hisashi and says, From now on, I won't care about you. I will get closer to Now, and I'll make her love me instead of you. With that, he walks away. Saika approaches Hisashi and asks why he didn't answer. Natsumi. Hisashi replies, I don't know if I'm good enough for Now, if I deserve her. He continues, I'm not confident in myself. Now is someone who values her own space and loves to help others, but I'm not like that. That's why I don't know if I deserve her. Sometimes I think if Natsumi had been the one living with Now by accident, she would have loved him. That's why I told her to keep her distance, so I could think about whether or not I deserve her. Meanwhile, Now is sitting at the craft club, looking at a photo of herself with Hisashi. Natsumi approaches her and confesses, I love you. Now, surprised, responds, You're joking. Natsumi insists, I'm not joking, I really love you. Now, stunned, replies, But I love Hisashi. Natsumi, however, remains persistent, saying, I can change that, just wait, I'll show you that I can make you love me instead of Hisashi. With that, Natsumi leaves. In the lab, Saika's doctor informs her that the scientific journal she had submitted her research to has preliminarily agreed to publish it, and they asked her to submit the final draft of the paper after verifying it in practice over the course of a week. Saika is thrilled and tells Hisashi she will stay in the lab that week. She views this as a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Hisashi congratulates her and offers to stay with her to help. Afterward, Now leaves the craft club, still thinking about what to do with Natsumi and how she had missed the signs of his feelings for her. She sees Dach talking to Nana and asking her why she's avoiding him and considering quitting the club. Nana replies, I told you I can't just be your friend, nothing more. She walks away, leaving Dach standing, looking lost and unsure of what to do. Noor approaches him and suggests they sit together. Dach says, I keep thinking about Nana and I don't know what to do. Now smiles and says, It's clear you've started to love her. Dach admits, I know. Now then encourages him, saying, You need to talk to Nana. You should meet with her and discuss things. Dach responds, But she doesn't want to see me since I rejected her after she confessed her feelings for me. Now reassures him, Leave that to me, I'll help you. At university, Natsumi and Nana are talking. Natsumi asks her, How far have you gotten with Dach? Nana replies, Since Dash is chasing after you, it seems like he knows he's in love with you. He tells her, it's impossible for him to love me, because Dash loves Nao. Natsumi responds, feelings change, and maybe Dash loves you now. Nana is surprised, and tells Natsumi she doesn't know how to feel about it. Natsumi then suggests, let's see what happens. Dash might be starting to care for you instead of Nao. Meanwhile, Nao calls Nana to ask her to come shopping with her, and Natsumi encourages her. It's a good opportunity to talk to Dash. They head out together, and when they meet Dash, he's surprised to see Natsumi there. Natsumi smiles and says, I took this chance to get closer to you after confessing my feelings. Nana realizes Nao was the one who planned the meeting, hoping to help her and Dash get closer. The four of them go out together, and Nao and Natsumi try to set the mood for Nana and Dash, encouraging Dash to confess his feelings. At the same time, Hisashi returns to the lab and helps Saika, who becomes anxious when she realizes a special device required for her research isn't available. Hisashi notices her distress and suggests a colleague who might have it. He runs off to get the device. On his way, he sees Nao and the others, feeling uneasy when he notices Natsumi with her. He tries to speak with Nao, but in a hurry, he just says he's busy and leaves. That night, Hisashi returns to the lab with the device. Saika is overjoyed and begins the experiment. As she sees the positive results, she thanks Hisashi and confesses, I love you. Hisashi is speechless, not sure how to respond. Saika quickly adds, don't say anything. I'm not upset. Afterward, she happily celebrates the success of her experiment, and Hisashi joins her in congratulating her. Meanwhile, Nao, Natsumi, and Nana are left alone. Dash tries to make Nana feel comfortable and says, I'm glad you're here and happy to see your smile today. Nana responds, please don't play with my feelings. I told you I can't just be your friend. She tries to leave, but Nao blocks her path, pretending to have a stomachache. They take Nao back to her room and lay her down on the bed. Natsumi pretends to leave to get medicine, but actually stays behind to help Dash talk to Nana. Dash tells Nana, I used to love Nao, but my feelings have changed. I care for you now. Nana replies, I can't believe you. It's impossible for you to love me. Nao, who's pretending to rest, interrupts, saying, no, he loves you. He was so happy with you today. She continues to ease the tension, and eventually Nana begins to soften. Natsumi comes in and takes Nao outside, leaving Dash and Nana alone. Dash is finally able to convince Nana of his genuine feelings, and they start to date. They overhear Nao and Natsumi, and they are both extremely happy. Hisashi returns, and when he sees Natsumi with Nao, he misunderstands and becomes upset. He leaves Nao and Natsumi behind, and walks away. Before Hisashi enters his apartment, Nao explains why Natsumi is there, telling him that Dash and Nana are inside her apartment. Nao gets nervous and tries to enter her apartment, but Hisashi stops her and says, if you go in now, you'll interrupt Dash's conversation with Nana. He then takes her to his apartment, where they sit in silence for a while. After some time, Nao asks him, why were you in such a hurry today? Hisashi replies, I was helping Saika with an experiment, and I was really happy when it succeeded. Nao smiles and says, that's great. Hisashi gets up, brings 2 containers of yogurt, and invites her to eat with him. They sit and eat together. Nao jokes and laughs, saying, should we break up? Hisashi is shocked by the suggestion. Nao then says, let's break up completely. It's the best for both of us. She proceeds to separate from him. The next day, Nao wakes up, fixes her hair and makeup, acting as though nothing happened, as if she didn't break up with Hisashi the day before. She goes out and heads to the university. During lunch, she eats with Marina and Uta, and they notice that she's acting unusually happy. They ask her, did you and Hisashi reconcile? Nao replies, no, we broke up. They are shocked and ask, then why are you so happy? Nao smiles and says, because I'll make him fall in love with me again? Marina and Uta are confused and ask, what do you mean? We don't understand. Nao explains, I always thought that Hisashi and I loved each other because we ended up living together by chance. If that hadn't happened, he wouldn't have loved me. That's why I decided to believe in myself and make him fall in love with me again. I'll prove to myself that Hisashi didn't love me by accident. She assures them, don't worry about me. I know I can make him love me again. Noor begins to change herself. She adopts a healthier lifestyle, running every day to stay fit. As the days pass, she improves and becomes more confident. One day, while sitting at the university reading a book about self-confidence, Natsumi sees her and sits with her. Now tells him what's going on and says, "I'm sorry, I can't love you because I love Hisashi." Natsumi replies, "It's okay, Natsumi. I don't want you to be upset with me. All I wanted was for you to know that I love you, nothing more. You don't have to return my feelings or love me back." At the lab, Saika continues to feel awkward, avoiding Hisashi after he rejected her feelings. One evening, Nao goes for a run again. When she returns, she hears a sound and realizes it's Hisashi. She hides so he doesn't see her and doesn't know what she's doing. She worries that if he sees her in her workout clothes, he'll think she's still foolish, and her chance of making him love her again will decrease. Amir enters his apartment without noticing her. Now, then goes to open her apartment, but she's shocked to find that she doesn't have her keys. She realizes they must have fallen out of her bag. She tries to use a hairpin to open the door, but it doesn't work. Feeling more anxious, she asks the door to open and rings the doorbell. Not even sure who she's ringing for. Hisashi happens to hear it and opens the door. He sees her and asks, "What are you doing?" He takes her to his apartment. The next morning, Nao wakes up to find that Hisashi is not home. He has left her breakfast and a note asking her to leave the key in the mailbox. She opens the fridge and finds the yogurt she likes, so she takes it and eats it. A few hours later, Ota arrives at the club and finds Hisashi standing by the door, hesitating whether to enter. Hisashi turns around and walks away. Ota runs to Nao and tells her, but when she finds Nao, she's sad. Nao says, "I thought I could trust myself and make Hisashi love me again, but it seems really difficult. I don't know what to do." Ota tells her, "Love is more important than self-confidence in a relationship. Hisashi truly loves you. I just saw him standing there, wanting to come in, but he couldn't." She continues, "Maybe Hisashi is just like you, not confident in himself, thinking that if you hadn't accidentally lived together, you wouldn't have fallen in love. Just like you think Hisashi loves you because of that accident." Nor thinks about Ota's words and starts to believe them. She says, "I need to talk to Hisashi." She leaves to go find him. Meanwhile, Hisashi arrives at the lab and finds Saika crying in front of the computer, overwhelmed with joy. He approaches her and asks what's wrong. Saika tells him that her research was accepted. Hisashi is thrilled for her and suggests, "Let's celebrate." Saika stands up, moves closer, and starts giving him artificial respiration. At that moment, Nao arrives and sees them. She's shocked and turns to leave. Hisashi pulls away from Saika and tells her, "I can't love you." Saika asks, "Even after Nao left you?" Hisashi replies, "Yes." She scolds him, saying, "You're foolish. If you think you can forget her while living next door, then try me." Hisashi admits, "That's why I decided to leave and move into another apartment." Nor walks away feeling sad, and Natsumi sees her. He understands that she's suffering because of Hisashi. He tells her, "I love you, and I don't mind if you continue to love Hisashi. You can use me to forget him." Nao replies firmly, "No, I can't do that. I love Hisashi and only him. Even if I don't go back to him, I'll still love him. I can't accept your feelings." She leaves, and Natsumi stands there. Saika gets angry and says to Hisashi, "You're stupid. Now you're acting this way because you're afraid that if you keep seeing me, you'll realize that Natsumi is making Nao happier than you. That's why I said I'd run away, not to make Nao comfortable like you told me." She continues, "You still put yourself before anyone else, even at Nao's expense. If you really love her, you should put her first. Don't give up on her, and don't let her go so easily." Hisashi listens to her words and realizes she's right. He thanks her for opening his eyes, and then leaves in a hurry to go talk to Nao. At the same time, Natsumi is speaking with Nao. Natsumi tells her that her brother has made a gift for her and wants to meet. She describes the place to Nao until she arrives. Natsumi watches her from a distance, apologizing, and says, "This service is from me to you as thanks for everything you've done for me." Amir finally arrives and approaches Nao. He tells her, "I love you. Whether you love Natsumi or not, I will always love you." Nao smiles and says, "No, of course not. I don't love Natsumi, you fool. I love you." Hisashi draws closer and kisses her, giving her artificial respiration. They share a romantic moment together, and Hisashi uses up a full oxygen tank. After that, they're back together. Later, Nao throws a party to celebrate her and Hisashi getting back together. All of their friends attend, and Natsumi apologizes to Hisashi, and they become friends again. They all celebrate and enjoy the time together. At night, Nao and Hisashi say goodbye to their friends and head to Hisashi's apartment. They spend the night together, And the next day they go on a trip. Hisashi holds Nao's hand, and they rush to catch the train, both full of happiness. The series ends with a cheerful note. At the end, the video wraps up with a message. Don't forget to like the video to encourage us to post daily, and also, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Goodbye. Don't forget to subscribe for more. Check out more recaps you'll absolutely love right here.